Frizzle Fry is 35. My discovery of Primus was really by word of mouth. There's a little bit of college radio involved, and then I saw the video for Jerry Was a Race Car Driver. And once I saw that video, I immediately said, well, I need to go back. I need to start from the beginning, because that's the kind of music listener I am. I always like to get the first release and work my way up from there. Even though Suck on This was technically the first release, I got Frizzle Fry. So my early days of bass, I was playing with a pick. I would come up with these bass lines that were like, so that was kind of my style when I first took over on bass, really confusing it with the guitar, but I was approaching it as a guitarist and not as a bassist. So when I heard To Defy the Laws of Tradition for the first time, it really just, it blew my mind. When I heard that, I was like, are you kidding me? It's one of the greatest openings to an album, in my opinion, ever. And of course, they have that false start where you hear the YYZ thing, so it really throws you off and you think something's wrong with your tape and all that crazy stuff. But anyway, hear that. And I know I'm not playing it the same way he plays it. He does something very different. For a while, I thought he was going... And then he's got this other thing where he goes, and I don't really know the whole point in that other than to keep his hand ready for the, because there's so many different ways I've heard him play it. On the recording, it sounds like he's going, yeah. Okay, now with the flanger removed, I don't know. The way that record opens is so strong, and it was revolutionary, really. To the younger people who may be watching this video, when this album came out, it didn't have the impact that Sailing the Seas of Cheese had. When Sailing the Seas of Cheese hit, it was like an explosion on the music scene. So much was happening. It was the same year that Nevermind came out. 1991 in music was insane. And when this album dropped, it just changed everything. It changed everything for bass players in general. You couldn't copy this band. It was foolish to try to copy them. And that was one of the things that I really liked about Primus, and I respected about my fellow musicians and all the other bands that were coming up in our scene. No one was trying to copy Primus. They were and are a force to be reckoned with. Everybody in that band is amazing, so not to just talk about less the whole time, but you gotta understand that without him and the way that band took off, things would have been a lot different back then, because people had gotten to this point to where they really didn't pay much attention to the bass. Now, I know I've spoken about this before in another video about Les Claypool, but to be a bassist in, let's just say 1990, when this album came out, you were invisible. You know, people were like, do whatever. Just don't get in the way, you know? And people started to take notice of the frequency in a way that they didn't take notice before. Anyway, I had some technical difficulties last night that forced me to suspend wrapping up this video and saving it for today, which is technically the 35th anniversary of Frizzle Fry. Frankly, this is my favorite Primus album. I'm not saying that their other stuff is not great. I love Primus. Look, there are other people who have released videos, because I look before I do these things, but I had this on my calendar literally for over a year. I have been waiting for this day for well over a year, and you would think I would have been more prepared. But I gotta tell you, when I saw a much larger YouTuber do his review of Frizzle Fry, I was a little bit like, well, why should I even bother now? He just beat me to it. I mean, my heart sank when I saw that he did that review of Frizzle Fry, I was just like, oh well, I'm not gonna beat this guy, right? But out of respect to him, I have a different perspective, and I'm not trying to step on his toes or anyone else's toes who may be reviewing, this album or any of their other albums. But either way, I thought to myself, if he would have waited until this date, and it also made me think that I had the date wrong. I watched his video and I liked it a lot. I've got a lot of respect for this guy because he does these reviews without using music or anything, and he can play. The guy actually can play. I've seen a lot of his videos. I first discovered him when he did a review of My Bloody Valentine's Loveless, I believe. I'm pretty sure that was the first video I ever saw from him. And I remember even at the time thinking, wow, this guy does a really good job of holding your interest without using, playing music. He doesn't have to deal with all the copyright claims and all that kind of stuff. So good on him, man. So these are my closing thoughts. Once again, when I started listening to Primus, I started with this album. It was revolutionary. It came out at a time when so much was happening with music, so much was happening for me personally as a musician. I was making my transition from playing thrash metal and punk and trying to move to the next stage of being more experimental. I was starting to get more into progressive rock bands, prog rock bands such as Rush. Let's face it, I would be lying if I told you that Les Claypool didn't influence me to get that Padula fretless bass. I would not have that bass if it weren't for Primus, because I'm not trying to copy him, but he's been a huge influence on me, and so is the rest of that band. Everyone in that band is top notch. They're like a twisted modern day version of Rush. To me, this is a big deal. To think to myself right now that this album is 35 years old. When these guys put this out, I'm sure they had no idea that they would achieve the success that they've achieved up until this point right now. I'm sure that they just wanted to have fun. They just wanted to enjoy themselves. And I think that's the most important thing to do in life in general. And I feel like this album celebrates that. This album is like the middle finger to the record labels telling you, and the industry telling you how you need to sound. That's why I am putting this video out. I want to thank you guys. If you haven't seen already, we've crossed 3,000 subscribers, and I appreciate each and every one of you for pushing us past this point. There's a lot more to come. I have a lot of ideas. You've heard it all before, but it's true. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll have another video out to you soon. So a lot is going on for Primus right now. They have a lot to celebrate, and they have a lot that they need to prepare for. As we all know, they are looking for a new drummer. I haven't been keeping up with that because I've been distracted with a lot of other things that are going on. So I don't know how close they are to having this new drummer. I haven't even looked to see if they finally decided. We'll find out, and if any of you know or you have any tips or inside information, let me know. I would love to know what they're doing and how close they are to finding their new drummer.